screenwriting software is best for you? There are several answers depending on where you're at in the screenwriting process. If you have written a book and perhaps you used Word or Pages or Google Docs or something like that, maybe even something like Scrivener, then you are in luck, because all the tools that it takes to really write a book are going to translate, because all of the major software is based on the same technology as Word is. So they're word processors, but they're made for the formatting of screenplays. That's the main thing, and for the thinking of screenplays. So they make it a lot easier for you. And if you are familiar with Word and you want to start somewhere where you're comfortable, I don't suggest that you use Word. It will frustrate you so much, and you will not be able to use that particular screenplay in a way that you can share it with other people. Even if you turn it into a PDF, it will not work in the way it needs to. It will show you as a novice or somebody who's not committed to screenwriting because you haven't gotten the software, because people can tell immediately. Anybody who reads screenplays will be able to tell this was not written in a good screenwriting software, and so there are probably some mistakes in here, and there are going to be issues that I have to deal with in the future, and you've already got a strike against you. So do not use Word unless you're just so scared to death of trying other software. But that's why you're watching this video, so I can get you so you're not so scared. I will just give you kind of the order of how things really are, but I'll just also familiarize you with what's out there, okay? Basically, I've got most of what's out there. Not everything, but at this point in time, I do. Microsoft Word is what it's based on, but it's not what you want to write in. But you can if you really, really want to. Scrivener is not meant for screenwriting, but they do have a screenwriting portion to their software, so you could use it. It's definitely it's a step up from using Microsoft Word, but I still would not use it unless you're such a Scrivener fan that's where you want to go. In that case, it'll work. And you'll be able to export it in such a way that other people can use it. So you're already a step up. Writer Duet is just something that I'm agnostic on it. Years ago, I tried to use it. Between my computer, I had a fast computer, I had fast internet, and yet I could never make it work at a speed that I could make it, worth my time. And then one thing you won't see up here, because it's not available as a downloadable, like as a desktop software anymore, is Celtics. So Celtics is something that you can find online, and you can work on it online exclusively, unless they've changed something. I don't believe they have. I don't think there's any kind of a desktop version. And it actually was a great option because it was free and everything. The desktop version was, but with recent computer upgrades and everything, you just cannot use it on computers anymore unless you have a really old computer. And if you do, then you can download the free installers. I do have them here in case you want to give it a try, but you have to have a really old computer. It has to be before 2015. So I was able to actually still use it on my 2015 that upgraded all the way to, it's an Apple, and it was the other one that starts with an M, Mojave. So up to Mojave, it actually still worked. But once you get into the 64-bit applications, and if I'm speaking another language, just skip forward past this part, and now let's move on. Okay, so I stopped at Writer Duet, not interested in it. Similar to certain things about Celtics now, because it's only online, although they might have a downloadable, but I wouldn't go with it. Fade In is where I'm probably going to start you in this demo. So that's probably the first thing that you want to get Fade In, because you can get it for free, which I will show you in a minute. Another really professional one is Movie Magic Screenwriter. This is an amazing software. It does a lot of things. It has so many bells and whistles that you probably don't need. Fairly expensive, just as expensive as Final Draft, and they're the same as Writer Duet. They're all in the $250 range right now. There are some specials going on. I am writing this before Christmas of 2022, and this video should last beyond 2022. It should be good for the entire year and beyond. But I will do updates if anything changes, or you can let me know. And in the meantime, we will actually start where I think you should start. If you're brand new to this and you aren't even sure that you're going to make a career of it, you might only have the one screenplay that you want to write. Well, Fade-In is going to get you what you want. So you go to fadeinpro.com and you get to the downloads page. It's so easy to find everything. You just go straight to Fade-In, and then you have this bar up here. It tells you download, right? So, I mean, it makes it really simple. So download whatever it is that you have. In this case, I use a Mac, so this is what I would download. So I download this, and of course it's giving it a 2 because I've done this a couple times now before I made this video. And I am in Chrome, so it's showing it down here. If you're in Safari, it's going to show an arrow up here, and that's where you can find where it went down to. But in all cases, it's going to go to the downloads folder. If you are using Windows, everything applies. I just can't tell you the technical way to find things. I do believe you have a version of a downloads folder, so I can't remember what it's called. Something that starts with C, as I recall. Anyhow, or your C folder. That's how I used to know it. I go back to the DOS days when it comes to Windows, so I really don't know what's going on anymore. Okay, so once you open up your downloadable thing, it will give you instructions. In my case, it's telling me to just do exactly what it says here, right? It just says drag to here, which is the applications folder. It like even accessed the folder for us. And then in this case, I'm not going to do it because I've already downloaded it and I have settings and everything. The other thing you can do, but you don't even have to do this, it says it's optional, is you can download the fonts. But I wouldn't do that. I think you probably already have what you need. And then if you come into any problems, then of course you can always go back and download the fonts if you want. That's all you need to do to get Fade-In. And then what's really cool about Fade-In is that, you know, you can buy it. It's only $80 right now. It'll be $100 most of the year. This is the holidays. And so that's half the price of what Final Draft is, which is the one that, spoiler alert if I haven't already said that, is that you will want to get to Final Draft if you decide that screenwriting is for you. All the functions are the same as in Fade-In and everything. It's just, this is the standard. This is the Cadillac. So it does have some bells and whistles, but you go to products, you go to Final Draft, and you'll see it's twice as much. It's normally $250. It's $160 right now, only $80 for Fade-In. I think this is the better bargain for starting out. And then you can upgrade. And there are some reasons why having Fade-In is not a bad thing, even if you're always using Final Draft. I use Fade-In for different things. They have certain little things that you don't want it to get expensive, so you wouldn't like buy both of these at the same time. You'd buy Final Draft after you've gotten through Fade-In and you realize, it might have a couple of limitations, or that producer that I was finally able to get, to read this said, okay, now you have to send me the Final Draft thing and I have to do like certain script notes and everything. Well, usually they do translate well, but if you find that you open something from somebody else and it's not working well in Fade-In, it's because they've written it in Final Draft, and then you will want to have Final Draft yourself to work and collaborate with other people in a very professional way. So I say, if you can afford it, just go straight to Final Draft. Skip everything else. Just go straight to Final Draft. But if you want to kind of go in steps, start with Fade-In. And it's the same thing where if you were to buy this now, then they would give you a download. In fact, I think I can get a download since I already own it. And basically, it's all like most software. It's based on, you have a number that you use, whatever that number is called. So here we have the downloads. So installer files for Mac for Final Draft 12. So you would just follow all these links and do whatever they say to do. You download, okay, you don't do that, you do this, download Final Draft 12.0.7. And in this case, I'll just save it straight to my downloads folder again, as I had already done. And again, you just click on it here or in Safari and the arrow up there. And it put it somewhere here. I'm supposed to be able to see it somewhere here. I don't know where it put it. Where'd you go, Final Draft? Wherever it put it. I have a bunch of things open, so it's hard to know which one I'm supposed to be looking at. It should be like right in the center, but I don't see it. Doesn't matter. Then you would just follow the instructions. It's probably a DMG, right? It might be going by creative. Okay, type is what I want. This is weird that I'm having to go through this. So Final Draft today. There we go. I don't know why that was so hard to find. It was probably right in front of me and you guys saw it, but I couldn't see it. There it is. It's supposed to be opening a folder. I don't know where it is. I don't see anything that says Final Draft here. Am I missing it? I don't think I am. I think my computer is just making things hard for me. And I don't know why. It's just this, I guess. Well, anyhow, yeah, that was Fade In. I got confused. Well, this is ruining my video really well. So Final Draft. I'm not understanding where it's putting it. So maybe if I put it on my desktop, it'll be a lot easier to find. There we go. This is... Okay. Same exact thing. So we'll cut all the stuff from before that. Okay. Same exact thing as Fade In, where you just drag it over. And again, I already have it, so I don't want to replace it and everything, so I'm not going to go any further. But you would just follow all the prompts that it gives you, and you'd get it installed, and then you'd be able to open it, and you'd be fine, and you'd be able to start writing your screenplays as much as you want. However, I want to make it easy on you. So I have this software guide. Now, you can come to this anytime at Proof My Spec here. If I get rid of this, you don't even have to type in that much. You just have to type in this much to get it. So you just type in proofmyspec.com/software-guide and put that in there. And it takes you to this page, which will be updated, hopefully. And you can look at this comparison. Now, this is a fairly old comparison, but it holds true. This is a few years old, actually. And it actually still holds true. And you can double-click on it to get it as big or as little as you want. And looking at this, you can see I recommend this in order of my recommendations. So Final Draft, then Fade In, then Movie Magic Screenwriter. It used to be Celtics, and this is where... that's obviously something that has changed because they don't have the Celtics Classic anymore. You cannot get that except for the fact that I do actually make it so that you can download it for your Mac or your PC if you have an old enough one where it would work. But it's probably not going to work. You can download it and just see if it does. But anyhow, coming back to this. So then Scrivener, and then... with Fountain, like actually if you were to use Celtics, the free version, not that you can really use it, but there is a kind of lame free version that you can use of Celtics online, Celtics.com, that is free. They don't even make it public facing, so it's kind of hard to find actually. Then you can download it either as a PDF or as a fountain. And this is just something I don't get into. To me, I understand why they made them. They wanted to have something that was simple and free, open source type thing, but it's just not worth it. I so don't recommend Word that I grade it out. Writer Duet, I don't recommend just simply because I have never personally found success with it, but I haven't even tried in a long time. They don't even make this anymore, Amazon Storywriter. They don't have Adobe Story. So neither one of those are even... This was probably one of the best ones ever because it was free. And it was simple. It didn't have many bells and whistles, which is a good thing. Not having bells and whistles can be a very good thing, especially if you're starting out. There are all these other ones. Again, this is an older list, so some of these you've probably never heard of and probably can't even look up because they're just so old. But even the newer ones that are out there are plenty of IOs out there, IOs and AIs and all that kind of stuff that are out there now. But they're not worth going after when you can get Fade In Pro for free. So here's the thing. So you don't buy it, but you do the download, right? So then with the download, you can do everything except I think the limitations, and they might have some documentation on what the limitations are. So you might want to look at that. But the limitations are going to be that you can't print out the whole thing. I think you can only print out maybe 5 pages or something. And that's about it. I mean, there's like very little in limitations, but there's probably more that I just haven't thought of or haven't noticed or they've changed. Who knows? So you can always try it out, and then you can always buy it. Once you have it downloaded and you decide, okay, I can work with this, then you just buy it, and then they give you the number, the serial number, whatever you want to call it, the product number, the key, the product key, and then you'll be able to use everything that it has to offer. But before then, you can still use it. Okay, so back to the software guide. This is where you want to start. And then you can just download any one of these templates because of the reasons that I had already stated. You do not want to just go with whatever their default thing is. There are issues with every single one of them, but of these first three especially, they always, actually including Celtics, at least in the old days and probably still on the online version, they would open up to shooting draft style. That means that there's certain spacing that's not correct. There are certain little things that add up, such as like these mores and continues, which that's probably like speaking a foreign language to at the moment. But that's one of the things that they will probably have. That it'll be created for like a shooting draft. And like I said, or I think I said it in this video, but maybe not, that when you write a screenplay, you are always writing in spec. And all of these are defaulted for shooting drafts, even if they have different templates that say this is for special kind of screenplay or whatever. Even then, it's still defaulted towards shooting drafts, and it's just crazy to me. I don't understand it, but that's why you need templates. So download these templates that I have provided here. Just hit, on Macintosh at least, hit Option and Download File, and download every single one of them. And then that way you have something to work from. And here's a little bonus that I don't know why this isn't working. There we go. I just didn't want to do it for a minute. It's kind of not paying attention. There we go. Even Word. I even have that one. So here is the Word one. We'll open that. It'll open up Word automatically because it's a DocX, and that's how I have it on my computer, that DocX is open up Word. And you can see you have everything you need. Now, this is actually a great way to show you, to kind of move into another section, I guess you could say, of the screenwriting process, is this actually provides you with everything you need. I wish it was easier to do it with my shortcuts, but we can do it visually like that. Okay, there we go. I need a shortcut for view to page width, but I can't do page width when I'm trying to look at three at the same time. Okay, so with the title page, this is all you need. And you'll notice that this is laid out just like your regular screenplay would be laid out, except for one thing that you may or may not be able to notice right away. And if you look at what's going on in some of the stuff that I've written here, there is a scene heading here that is at the bottom of the page. That should never happen. And if this were any other if it were a screenwriting program, that would not happen. If you are a total word whiz, you might be able to figure out how to make sure that the scene heading always stays with whatever its next thing is, so that this would never happen and it would look more like this. So this is what it would look like in a regular screenwriting software where you have this. But here's what I want you to take note of that makes it look like a screenplay. You have the title page, very sparse, very simple. This may or may not even apply, so you might not even have that part. All you need is the title and the name. And it doesn't matter whether this has, 2, 3 spaces, whatever. But anyhow, this portion of it generally stays in the center of the page, as if it's just been centered right there in the page. So that's why that's like that. If you were to get rid of this, you could either delete it and then just add another line, because you want this to be as low as possible on the left. It could be on the right. Movie Magic Screenwriter will put it on the right. Celtics will put it on the right. It doesn't really matter. Most of us are used to seeing it the way that Final Draft does it. This particular template was actually created by Final Draft, and then I went through a rigmarole to create it so that it worked and had the, not macros, but the styles working within Word. And there are some shortcomings, but visually this is looking like a screenplay. And so your email is really all we need. If you live in Los Angeles or within a couple of hours of Los Angeles, you might want to put just where you're at, just your city and state. Otherwise, your email will suffice. You could put your phone number. Don't label them. You don't have to label your email. We know what an email looks like. You don't have to label your phone number as being text or mobile or something. We assume that if you're giving us your phone number, it's because it's textable. So don't give your phone number if it's a landline. And if it's a foreign phone number, you definitely can give that as long as it's a mobile. And they still might be interested in it and everything, but they'll be especially interested if you are living within a couple of hours of where they're at. And we're just assuming from the Hollywood standpoint. So even if you're sending this off to a producer in New York and it says LA, that will be something worth them knowing. If they're in New York and you're in New York, don't put your address. I know that's weird, but it's just good practice to just keep things simple and sparse. If they like the story, they'll figure out where you are. They don't care. They don't expect you to necessarily be in New York. They just, will be interested in knowing if you're closer to LA or not. Okay, so the other thing that makes it look like a screenplay is the fact that there is no page number on page 1. Now, this is another reason why Word is so hard, right? It's quite a feat that I was able to do this, right? Where we have a title page that has no page number at all, doesn't even count as a page. So it's like page 0 almost. And it might even have a second page to it, but I will not get into that anyhow. So it's a 1-page title page, no page numbering. Page 1 of the actual script where the story starts, no page number. That is good format. You do not want a page 1. So if you're going to start with Word, start with the template so that you are making sure that you have that. I keep highlighting this because I want to get rid of it because it's just an example of something you could put in there, but you should not have act breaks. Okay. And I'm just trying to make it still look good. Okay. So then you'll notice that page 2 does have a page number. And if you were to, have lots more to it, then every other page is also going to keep numbering from there on. Basically, this is how it should look. No page number on the cover, no page number, but it is considered page 1 on page 1, and then the page numbering starts in the upper right corner only. That's the only place we ever want to see a page number for a screenplay. It looks very unprofessional if it lands anywhere else, and you will be pegged as unprofessional. And every little thing like that is a strike against you. Believe me, everybody's looking for a reason to make your screenplay dreams come true and get a production made, but they're also looking for all the reasons not to as well, because it's a lot of money. They want to make sure that you are the right person and the right writer for this. And so you can read some of the things that are in here when you get any of my templates, like general is not one of the things, but here what I'll show you in this with the styles pane is that when I created this, what I was able to do was make it so that it does have just the elements that you would have in a screenplay. Now you can do this little thing where you show the style guides and it kind of shows, what each thing is if you want a visual way to see it. You could get really fancy and do what I do when I'm editing and do color coding and stuff, but in the end it has to print out so that it looks basically just like this. There's no colors, there's no labels or anything like that. No bold and no italics and things like that. Although you can read this as there are some exceptions that you could actually include for certain things. But what I started to say about this is like general and that act break that I had, there's a way to do an act break and everything. When I took it out, did I take out the style for it too? It's interesting. Yeah, it did. It took out the style. So that's really interesting. That was the only place that there was an act break. So there was a style for act break. You do not need an act break. In fact, you should not have act breaks unless there's a specific reason for it, and that's specific to things that you really don't ever need to worry about, probably, at least not at the beginning of your screenwriting career. So if I take it out, it's going to take it out over here again. That's interesting. So we'll just leave it for now. Just it doesn't matter. What I wanted to show you, though, is that you do have the styles. However, they don't behave very well. And basically, you're going to be copying and pasting constantly as you write this thing so that you can have the right things. Or you'll have to apply all the styles after the fact. And they are not working. They don't work well. So there are certain things that, like if I wanted to do another character here, and I write the character's name as John, and for reasons that I won't go into right now, you always I suggest you always write either, if you're used to it, you can write in sentence form, but do not write in all caps. And there's good reasons for that I can go over in other things. And so you want that to be John is speaking, and this is his dialogue. Okay, so in a screenwriting software, you would just actually have to have your cursor there, and then you hit character. Well, look at what happens here. That's an issue. And then you want this to be your dialogue, and look at that. I don't understand Word. I never will. Word is stupid. It is not, it's not stupid for what it's meant to do. It's just stupid when it comes to screenplays. It is not meant for it. So if I wanted to have John do a dialogue, I have to do all these things. I would actually have to have something that I can, you know, I'll like keep something that I can keep copying and pasting basically. So it'd be John, and I just type that with all small case, but it knows that it's supposed to be all capitals according to how it's set up. And then I can type the dialogue and it comes out normally. And then the next thing that I go to should be action, but can't rely on that. So this is all to show you, do not use Word to write your screenplay. It just is not going to benefit you in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so going on from Word and why not to use it, Celtics is really almost not worth going into, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, guys. I know some of you love Celtics from the old days and stuff, or you've been using it online and you like doing things online. You're a cloud user. I'm of a certain generation and I'm not into it. But anyhow, I do have an account, so it looks like it's already in there. So I guess I didn't log out when I was doing this earlier. And it's just showing me how I can upgrade, because right now I have it so that all I can do is have one project. And with that project, and this was just me uploading what I had downloaded here. So I uploaded this template, basically. That's what this is. And so you can see what it looks like. And this is kind of an interesting thing about Celtics, actually. And Celtics is the only thing in the world at this point, I think. I don't know if Faden still can. Faden used to be able to import Celtics files. But I think Celtics is the only one. Yeah, they don't have it as in their list anymore. Yeah, they used to be able to. Well, no, it is in their list right there. So that's interesting right there. So to create one, to interrupt myself completely, we can try the same thing, or we can go and get. You don't need to see all the stuff that I've got here, but whatever. Oh, it's not in date order. I was like, what? Okay, so that's that file. So it just imported this Celtics thing. Now it didn't recognize the act thing, so it didn't put it over there. But it interpreted these as being dialogue, which is good. Okay, so you have the Celtics file can actually be uploaded into Faden or into Celtics. So that's actually very interesting. So if you are a Celtics fan, another reason to go with Faden, right? So we're not going to keep that. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you're working in Celtics, which is interesting, that it always does this. Don't worry, it doesn't print that way at all. But when it comes to the free version, which again, I don't even know how you get there. I've just had this account for years. The way you can save your file is you can print it to PDF, or you can export it as text or fountain, and that's it. You cannot save it as an FDX file. And so it makes it fairly useless. Yes, you can do the fountain, and fountain is something I will not go over because I don't really get it myself, and it's just a workaround that you just don't need. It's making things complicated. I really don't. I don't see the point in using things that are deficient and that make you look at things so they look weird, and then you don't even learn what you're supposed to be doing, which is formatting. So there's really no reason to use fountain. So I won't say bad things about it, but I won't say that it's something that you should try. So that is Celtics. And as you already saw, let's see, how do I get out of there? As you already saw, when I'm in Celtics, it just keeps wanting to sell me on, it wants me to subscribe. And so these are the kind of prices. It's all online. As far as I know, there is no downloadable desktop version that you can use so you can write offline. If there is, that's great, but it says cloud-based platform, the platform itself. Let's see if there's anything that indicates there's a desktop version. There is not. There are mobile apps to all of these. So if you really want to, do you really want to thumb type your entire screenplay? If that's the only way that you really communicate and that's what you're used to doing, go for it. There is a app version of Final Draft. I do believe there is one of Fade In as well. I do believe there is one of Movie Magic. There is definitely one of Celtics, as we just saw. So there are those possibilities, and I don't know if you've ever used Pages or Word or Google Docs or anything like that, but you're going to have all the problems that I already expressed. So skipping forward to what's most important, and that is which software is really going to take you the distance. Well, that's Final Draft. And that's the way to go. And that's funny. Okay, so it's just because I was just clicking on it just because I was thinking it was going to take me to Final Draft, but it didn't, obviously. It took me to this download file, but it tried to open it rather than downloading it. So that's why when I clicked on that, it did that. Okay, so I think I already went over this, that we download it and everything like that. And then, of course, you buy it. I think you get a trial. I think you do get a trial with Final Draft. You have to see at the time that you're doing this, what the terms are. Most software does have some kind of a trial. Final Draft may or may not at the time that you try it. Let's see if they have a way to try it. If you just go here, start your free trial. There you go. I don't like it when they don't immediately tell you, they do have a 30-day money back guarantee, but they don't tell you how long your trial is for. You have to click things to get to that point. That's always a little annoying, but you get it for a full 30 days, guys. It's worth it. You can write a whole screenplay in 30 days pretty easily if you get some guidance and everything. And that's something that you always can join us on one of our retreats where we definitely go through that. We get you writing a screenplay in 48 hours. I have one of those, and it's out there, and it's being made into a movie as I speak at this point. Okay, so these are your options. This is the way to go, is start out with Fade In. If you really just feel like you need to test the waters, or you're only going to write one screenplay in your whole life, go with Fade In. Otherwise, get Final Draft. That's kind of the bottom line. And if you really want to get fancy, or somebody who has it and they've recommended it, go ahead and get Movie Magic. Don't get Celtics. Don't get Writer Duet. Don't get Scrivener. And definitely don't use Word, Pages, or Google Docs. Just know the risks.